Hi, I'm Guy Center, Northwind's manager for Bally Refrigerated Boxes, and I'm here to introduce you to our Northwind's Blast Chiller. The reason your kitchen will be using a blast chiller is that you make large batches of food. You have to remove a lot of heat to bring down the temperature of these large batches. If you don't get the temperature down of these batches quickly, bacteria can grow and contaminate. Getting the temperature down means pulling out the heat. The bottleneck for this process is where the heat is leaving the food and entering the air. The blast chiller keeps the air moving quickly over the food at a cold but not severely cold temperature. This pulls the heat from the product quickly, and yet without freezing the outer layers. So let me show you the equipment. With the door open, we see the major components of the blast chillers.
The fans, the plenum, the coil, and the controller. These components drive the air in a circular pattern. The air is pulled through the chilling space and is pushed up to the plenum by the fans. It flows above the plenum to the coil side and is then chilled while passing through the coil, returning to the chilling space. This laminar cycling of air ensures that there are no warm spots in the cooling area. Minor control components include the door switch at the top of the door and 4 temperature probes, which include the air probe located behind the fans and 3 food probes stored above the coil and inserted in the food during normal operation. You'll see how these components affect operation in just a moment. This would be a good time to mention that the unit we are working with is a Northwind's 500. It has 1 set of fans, plenum, and coil. The Northwind's 1000 is twice as deep and has 2 sets of these items. Both units have 1 controller and 3 food probes. A major option is the walk-through option, which has a door replacing the back wall.
We're going to talk about the control components now, but let me explain first about the chilling process in automatic mode. There are 2 phases to this chilling process, chilling and holding. During chilling, the system drives the air temperature down to 5 degrees. This cools the food rapidly. Once the food temperature drops to 36 degrees, the system enters holding mode. It keeps the air temperature below 45 degrees. To make this happen, the system monitors 2 temperatures, air and food.
Of the 3 food probes, 2 are auxiliary probes and 1 is a product probe. These probes are plugged into receptacles along the upper side of the coil. The receptacle for the product probe is the closest receptacle to the door. The probe plugged into the front receptacle becomes the product probe. Any 3 of the food probes will work in any receptacle. We suggest you make it a habit to plug the red marked probe in this receptacle to immediately identify it as a product probe. Auxiliary probes only monitor temperature. They do not control the process. You can easily identify the product probe by putting its tip in your hand and watching the product probe temperature rise on the face of the controller. Note that there is a large and small prong on the plug. The small prong goes to the top hole of the receptacle. Never immerse the full probe assemblies in the water, just the probe tip and maybe the front end of the handle.
The door switch is the other control component. It turns on the light and turns off the fans and refrigerations when you open the door. And when you close the door, the fan and refrigerations will turn off. So I've told you what we're trying to do here and talked about the major components of the blast chiller. Now let's talk about the modes of operation and the control panel. You can follow along with your operation manual. If you don't have one, it's available on our website.
Look for the literature button on the Bally homepage. Scroll down on the next page to the installation instructions and find the Northwind installation manual. The operation manual makes up the last 3 pages. You can also scroll further down and find our sales brochure. This brochure illustrates some of the topics I've already covered.
The first mode of operation is automatic mode. It is the default mode of operation. The reason is safety. If you've got a probe in the food, you're controlling what's going on in there. And that's automatic mode. Easy and safe.
So to use auto mode, Turn the unit on. Put the food cart in the blast chiller. Insert at least a product probe in the food and close the door. That's it. You're done.
Let's look at the face of the controller while we're in auto mode. The default controller screen will show you the product probe temperature, since it's the important one. It's large so you can see it at a distance. Push the next tab here, and you'll see all 4 temperature values. Push the next tab again, and you see the time since the temperature came down from 140 degrees. The number below shows how long the last chilling cycle took. The chilling time is defined as the time between 140 and 40 degrees, when the food is in the danger zone. The next page shows the refrigeration status. Refrigeration is off right now because the door is open. The 5th page shows the faults, if there are any. Pushing the next tab again returns you to the fault controller screen. If you should experience a lack of performance or the air movement doesn't seem right, you may need to defrost your coil. You can easily check by removing the trim pieces on either side of the filter and removing the filter. Another way to check to see if you need to go into defrost is to simply push the F2 button. Here, the coil has been up to 60 degrees since it last chilled, so we can safely assume that most of the ice is already thawed and left the blast chiller. When your coil is cold enough, you hit F2 to go into defrost. You get the password entry screen, so adjust the value of your number to get to 22. And hit F2 again. You are now at defrost 1. Defrost 2 lasts for 3 minutes. During this time period, the refrigeration is freezing any water left on the coil so it doesn't spray into the floor or over your food when auto mode begins. When the 3-minute timer is up, the defrost will go into auto mode. You can see the countdown on the bottom of the screen. The third mode of operation is manual mode. Manual mode does not use a product probe. So when you've done the same batch a sufficient number of times, and your experience tells you it's going to take about an hour and 50 minutes to chill this food, you set the manual time to an hour and 50 minutes and run in manual mode. During that hour and 50 minutes, the unit is in chill mode. When the time is up, the unit goes into auto mode. Now, if you don't have the product probe plugged in, the reading of the product probe will be 0, which is less than 36 degrees, and the unit will essentially be in holding mode. So to get into manual mode, push the F3 button here. Then key in the buttons to get your password 22. Then hit F3 again. Here's the default screen for manual. You see we've only got 2 minutes set at this time. Push the next tab and we see the probe temperatures. The next tab gets you to manual runtime. Key in the appropriate numbers that you wish. So this would be for an hour. You don't have to hit enter. It's already updated. So this unit will be in manual mode for 1 hour. So let's say you forget to put the product probe in the food. That probe is now in the air, so it will control the cycle based on the air temperature, not the food temperature. And as a result, the air temperature will only go down to 36 degrees, and you will lose your batch. So we programmed the controller to sense that the air temperature and the product temperature are too close together when you close the door. It displays a message so that you can either insert the product probe into the food or go into manual mode. The red operational arrow light turns on when there is a critical failure. These failures include an air temperature inside the blast chiller over 100 degrees and an open air probe circuit. The unit cannot function while this red light is lit. You need to shut it down and get service. So this concludes our introduction to the Northwind Blast Chiller. If you have any questions, call us at 800-24-BALLY. That's 1-800-242-2559. Thank you.